All right, so moving on to the final segment, I'll be sharing my thoughts on Al Heyman and the PBC potentially leaving Showtime Boxing. So this is big news in the sport of boxing. I really thought I'd never see the day that this could potentially happen between the PBC and Showtime Boxing. And it looks like the rumors are true because it's all over the place, all over the net, that the PBC could potentially be leaving Showtime Boxing. The PBC and Showtime Boxing deal, the deal that these two respective brands, these companies have together, is set to expire by the end of the calendar year of 2024. And Al Heyman has no intentions on making a new deal and re-signing the PBC with Showtime Boxing. And this is very unfortunate because Showtime will not likely survive if the PBC leaves them, if Al Heyman and company leave them. Showtime Boxing will unfortunately end up being like HBO Boxing and just fade off, go into the sunset, never be seen or heard from again. But I think it's very unfortunate because Showtime Boxing is right now the best boxing company in the sport today. It has a great production team, has a great commentary team, and they really saved the sport of boxing this year as well. You look at all the mega fights that have basically happened in the sport of boxing this year: Caleb Plant versus David Benavidez, Gervonta Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia, Terrence Crawford versus Earl Spence, Jermell Charlo versus Canelo Alvarez. All have taken place on Showtime Boxing. It's just going to be hurtful. It's just going to hurt to see Showtime Boxing fade off to the sunset because they're not going to survive without the PBC moving forward. And just like Showtime, just like HBO, I think Showtime will end in 2025, like I just said. The PBC is loaded, though, with names, the biggest names in the sport of boxing. It's like a monopoly row. They got the biggest names, the biggest stars that all signed with Al Heyman at this particular time. They have Canelo Alvarez. They have Terrence Crawford. They have Earl Spence. They have Gervonta Tank Davis. They have Jermell Charlo. They have Deontay Wilder. They have David Benavidez. They have Caleb Plant. They have Jerron Boots Ennis. They got a lot to offer whoever Al Heyman and the PBC decides to do business with next. Whatever they decide to do, whether it's partner up with the Zone, whether it's ESPN Top Rank, whether it's Amazon Prime, whether that's Paramount Plus, it all benefits the PBC, and all those networks will benefit partnering up with Al Heyman and the PBC because they have the biggest names in the sport of boxing. Like I just said, most of those names that I just mentioned are big-time attractions in the sport of boxing. You actually have two of the biggest names in the sport of boxing all under the PBC right now in terms of pay-per-view buys, in terms of being big-time stars, in terms of being a box office attraction, that being Canelo Alvarez, that being Gervonta Tank Davis. And Earl Spence is a big-time salesman too. But yeah, whoever Al Heyman and the PBC decide to go with next, they're going to be getting a lot of fighters and a lot of platforms to make some big-time cards in the sport of boxing. So it's rough, but I do believe that this really does happen. Showtime Boxing is going to end by 2024, and you're never going to see them or hear from them ever again. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off, and I'll see you guys on next week's episode.